Now we're going to start to draw a cartoon cloud. First we'll start with a loose line sketch in the same way that we've used for the rest of the course. This gives energy to your shapes, and having a hand-drawn guide will make your vectors appear better. You can also choose to sketch in pencil if you feel more comfortable this way. Let's first have a look at my brush settings. For this sketch I have shape dynamics ticked on, so I have the pen pressure to make the thin and thick lines. I also leave smoothing on by default. It's good to click on the brush tip shape and make sure the spacing is set to 1%. This way you'll get a nice smooth line. If your line appears blobby or uneven, the best way is to check this setting. I start with quick fluid lines, trying not to lay down too much detail but getting an overall feeling for the shape, and I go for an S-curve at the bottom. You might find it easier to have several layers and overlap your lines. Then you can always rub away the edges and then merge everything afterwards. I'm going to scale down the cloud more so it fits better on the page using Ctrl and T. We're going to use a Liquify tool next so we can push the shape around. This is great for cartoon work and allows us to push and change the shape even further. Go to the menu and select Filter, then Liquify. I'm using a reasonably big brush with the pressure set to around 59%. This makes it easy to grab the overall shape and start manipulating it. In this one I'm just making subtle changes, but feel free to really experiment with this tool and see what you can come up with. Now using the lasso tool, shortcut L, I'm selecting and deleting some of the lines to clean up the shape. Let's now start to block the shape out, starting with the point on the left-hand corner. I'm changing the colour here to grey, so it's more neutral to look at when I trace. Then adjust the opacity to around 44%, so you can see the shape underneath. When you place the points, it's good to use as few as possible and add them where the curve changes direction. With this cloud, we're going to use a different technique where we grab the Bezier handles separately to form the rounded sections of the curves. Let's try this out. So we create the third point, stretch out the Bezier handle, and by clicking down Alt on your keyboard and keeping it pressed down, you can now move the anchors separately. Now move on to the next point and continue the process until you have blocked out all the shapes for the cloud. Here I'm refining the shape and decide to keep the rounded edges less high by adjusting the anchor points. Remember not to pull the anchor points out far beyond the shape. The best way if this happens is just to add another point on the half circle. Perfect circles need just 4 points evenly spaced to get a nice rounded effect. Using just 2 points for the half circle here stretches the shape around and gives a more cartoon feel, which is what we're looking for this one. In the next video we'll start to make a simple character in vectors.